Hey everyone, I'm Eddie Horan and I'm the head writing tutor at Stockton University's Writing Center. Today I'll be presenting for you how to use the Math and Writing Centers. First, we'll start with the mission of the Tutoring Center, and that is to help students build the quantitative and writing skills necessary to their academic success, as well as the confidence to grow as learners and thinkers. So we're twofold. A, we want to help you build the skills that you need to get through college and succeed through college. And we want to give you the confidence that you need to use those skills. First, also some basics about the Tutoring Center. First of all our tutors are undergraduate tutors, so they're your peers. They've all been trained, so they all know very well what they're doing. You can also relax because we're informal. There's no need to set up an appointment. You can just come on down during our hours, which we'll explore in a second, and work with a tutor. We also work across the curricula. So, for example, in the Writing Center, you might come in for a writing class. You might even come in for a lab report in one of your science classes. It all depends where you're struggling or where you would like a little bit of help. We have a bunch of computers and a printer. The Writing Center has a computer lab in which there are 16 computers. So you can come and you can work there with a tutor. You can work there on your own. You can print whatever you need to print. We also have an inflatable moose head. In case you didn't believe me, there he is. We're not sure about his name. We go back and forth on that, but we've got him. Where and when you can find us. First of all, our main digs are in J105 in the main academic building. We're available Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Fridays, our hours switch up a little bit. The Writing Center is open from 9 to 4, and the Math Center is open from 9 to 2. In case you can't get to us during the day, we also have evening tutoring in the TRLC, that's near the freshman dorms. That's Sunday through Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We also have evening tutoring in the library learning commons. So if you walk into the library and go to the big room to the right, that's where you can find us. Writing is available Monday through Thursday, 6 to 9. And math is available Monday through Wednesday, 6 to 8. So when you enter the Math or Writing Center, either one, the first thing you should do is swipe in. So make sure you have your Stockton ID card, and if you don't have that, make sure you know how to log into the computer, and you can do it that way. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to select the course that you're working on and the tutor with whom you'll be working. If that sounds a little tricky, and it is sometimes, don't worry because we've got somebody there to help you. Either a tutor or a student worker or one of the staff members is there to help you. Once you get swiped in, make sure you're ready. So make sure you have all your materials, perhaps textbooks, any class notes or homework, assignment descriptions, things like that. And if you have any specific questions for the tutor, and you should have some specific questions, you can get those ready as well. Sometimes you do have to wait a little bit for a tutor if all our tutors are tied up with other students. So don't worry, all you have to do is keep working a little bit. So don't just come in and sit and pat on your legs and wait. Get to work. If you're struggling with some math, see what you can do. Do as much and as best as you can do. If you have a quick question about a paper, if you have a not so quick question about a paper, that's okay too. Just sit, run through your assignment, and make sure that you've done as much and as best as you can. We'll start with the Math Center. First of all, be prepared and active. Active is really important. It's important because tutors are there to support your efforts and give you a little nudge when you're stuck. So in other words, when you come into the Math Center, you're not going to sit down with a tutor and have a tutor, do the problem for you and show it to you. You're the active one there. So the tutor will help you. The tutor might give you an example. The tutor might use the whiteboard in the front of the lab and give you some examples like that, perhaps on your paper. At any rate, just be active, and you must be the one who's prepared to do what you have to do. So if you have any questions, homework, or class notes, things like that, bring them. Sometimes in the Math Center, there's a little bit of group activity. So it might happen that somebody else from your class is in there. If that person is asking questions, listen to his or her questions. They might have the same questions as you have, or even different questions. So just listen up and you can know what's been covered. You can know where you're on solid footing, where others are on solid footing. And it's just a really great way to get yourself ready for the session. I should also make a quick differentiation between small questions and sustained assistance. It might be the case that you'd like to enter the Math Center and just ask a quick question. Say you're stuck on part of a problem and you're not sure exactly what comes next. That's okay. You can ask a tutor, and a tutor can get you through that real quick, and you can get on your way. It might be the case that you need a little bit more help. It might be that an entire concept is escaping you. In that case, you may want to work with a tutor for a more lengthy period of time. However, it does sometimes get busy in the Math Center, especially around exam times like at midterms or finals. So if you need to work with a tutor for a while and it's around that time of year, you might not be able to work with a tutor for a while. So in that case, you might want to sit in the Math Center, do your work, and ask some quick questions instead. You should also know that different math tutors have different specialties. Of course, being that this is math, we have assistants in Q1 and Q2 courses, but we also have assistants in chemistry, physics, statistics, economics, business, and programming. So all these different subject areas you can get a little bit of help with. There's a snag, though. Of course, we can't employ 5 tutors for each of these subjects, so we can't have all of these subjects available from 9 to 6 p.m. every day. So what you can do, and we'll explore this on the next page, is you can go to the Math Center webpage and look up when tutoring for specific subjects is available. Again, on our next slide, we'll go through how you can do that. Group work, as I've mentioned, sometimes happens. It might be that you're working on a group project with some students and you need some assistance. It might be that a bunch of you from one class are preparing for an exam. At either rate, just know that tutors may lead group sessions. So now I'll give you a quick walkthrough of how to find the specialties of each tutors and when they're available. First, you'll go to the Math Center webpage. I've got a URL here, but what you can do is you can go to Stockton's main page, stockton.edu, and search Math Center. And then the first hit will be the Math Center. So you can click that, and that'll bring you, it's okay. That'll bring you here. Okay, so from this page, you'll go to Search for Tutoring. You'll click this top link here. That's search for all the days and times tutoring is available for a particular course. And once you click that, you can choose from the drop-down menu whatever subject it is that you need help with. So if you need help for macroeconomics, you can run your search. And of course, this is from this past semester, but you can see which tutors specialize in this area and when they're available. Okay. Just a few pro tips about the Math Center to help you acclimate to the way it works. First of all, you should consider planting yourself there. In other words, even if you want to come in for a quick question, it's helpful to sit in the Math Center for an extended period of time and work. Like I said, you might not have a tutor for all that time, but think about how convenient it is if you hit a little block. If you're confused about something, you have a quick question, how convenient. A tutor is right there. You can ask the question and continue working. As you continue working, if you come across another little roadblock, no problem, ask a tutor. Again, remember that it can get busy, so you probably want to come sometime in advance. In other words, if you have an exam on Tuesday at 12:30, don't come in on Tuesday at 12 o'clock, because that's probably not going to afford you that much time. And if it's busy and you can't work with a tutor right away, you're in trouble. So make sure you get there in time, especially at the end of the semester when it gets really busy. Again, as I mentioned earlier, feel free to talk to people from your class. You're all students together, communicate, ask questions together. It might turn out that you're strong in one area where this other student needs some help, and the other student is strong in an area where you need some help. In that way, you can help each other even if a tutor is unavailable. So link up like that. You can collaborate. You can commiserate if you're not feeling too good about your class. You can learn together. And being in the boat together, I think, will help you feel better. One more pro tip for the Math Center. We have an extensive library of math books. So think about that. Many textbooks and many editions of textbooks equals many explanations. So if you have a problem with how to do something, you can look it up in a different textbook, and it might be that that textbook's explanation of how to run through this sort of problem is a little bit clearer for you. So feel free to use those tools. We'll now move on to getting to know the Writing Center. First of all, tutoring usually occurs one-on-one, and it's usually about 30 to 40 minutes per session. So you should come with enough time before the paper is due to get that done. In other words, if you have a class at 11:35, don't come in after the class before that with 10 minutes to go and expect to run through your paper. We would love to have magic wands in the Writing Center where you could say, ta-da, paper's fixed. But it doesn't work that way. So you have to make sure that you can allot enough time to get into the Writing Center and get to work. You should note that regardless of when you come in, you can come at any stage of the process. So if you've simply just begun to brainstorm some ideas, then you can come and bounce those ideas off a tutor. It might be that mid-writing you're not sure how you can move forward. You can come in then and you can work with the tutor to help think of how you can move forward. You might, and this is our most common this is the most common way in which students come to visit us, is you might come with a finished product, and you might want to run through the paper with the tutor. That's fine too. Again, note that if a paper is like 15 pages long, it's probably not going to be the case that the tutor is going to be able to run through the entire paper with you, if it's busy, of course. If it's not so busy, tutors are fine to help you run through your paper. So yeah, just note that we can offer feedback along the way and that earlier is better. Again, much like with the Math Center, be prepared and active. Be prepared to have questions. Be prepared with materials. Know what you want to focus on. So if you don't want to run through your entire paper and you just have a question about a particular part, that's fine. You can have those questions ready. If you just have questions about a citation method, that's fine too. Have those questions ready and we'll get you on your way. Of course, it does also sometimes get busy at the Writing Center, and much like with the Math Center, that can be around midterms and finals. So you might have to wait. I think I already gave you the answer to this question, so you're in luck. While waiting for a tutor, you should A, check Facebook, B, drum on your legs, C, continue working on your paper, D, take a nap. Now I'll tell you, D is not the answer, but we do have a very comfortable sofa. You can feel free to sit back there with the tutor if you want. Of course, as you've probably guessed, the answer is continue working on your paper. Be prepared. So, some pro tips about the Writing Center as well. Much like with the Math Center, plant yourself. We have a number of students who come and work with us, and they sign in and we say, hey, are you looking for a tutor? They say, no, not yet. And they're regulars. They come and they work several times each week, and they sit for a little while, perhaps 30 minutes to an hour, maybe even longer, working on an assignment, and then when they're ready for a tutor, or when they reach a roadblock, they ask a tutor. Feel free to do the same thing, because like with the Math Center, it's so convenient. If you have a question and a tutor is available, you're right there. You can ask your question. All undergraduate levels and disciplines are welcome, so while we put special emphasis on our first writing courses, we'll help you with any writing courses at all. So even if you have a lab report, I mean, we might not all be science whizzes, but we can at least help you with how to structure your lab report, how to work APA citations into your lab report, anything like that. Again, much like with the Math Center, this takes time. So come before the paper is due. I mentioned we don't have a magic wand, so make sure you've got plenty of time to work with the tutor, and not just work with the tutor, but then make any changes that the tutor has suggested or that you've come up with in time to go to class with a final finished paper. We also have a number of materials that you can use. Our top hit is a writer's reference. That's available in 6th, 7th, and 8th editions. The 8th just came out, so we don't have so many copies of that. But there are very few changes from 6th to 7th to the 8th edition. So you can feel free, if you want to work with a tutor and run through the book, that's fine. Or if we're busy, or even if you just want to be a little bit more independent, which we always suggest, you can pick up one of the books and first see if you can find the answer to your question yourself. Aside from that, we also have a large interdisciplinary library. We have literature textbooks, we have books of poetry, we have books of writing, all sorts of different things you can explore that might help you out. We also have a web page. I'm not going to run through this one because it's not as complicated as trying to find tutors with specialties for the Math Center. But you can check out our page, and what we've got is a schedule of all the tutors on our page. So if it's the case that you've worked in the Writing Center for a while, and there are a few tutors who you've come to really like to work with, you can check the schedule and see when they're available. Of course, you can work with anybody, but if you have like a special connection with somebody or one of your friends who's a tutor, that's no problem. You can check the schedule and find out when you can work together. Our goal, as I think I've kind of touched on a little bit, is that we want you to become less dependent and more independent as a writer. So as you move forward with a writing tutor and as you come through a semester or two, you'll pick up on where you have strengths and where you have weaknesses. And when you pick up on these, you'll become more independent as a writer. So you'll be able to ask fewer questions of writing tutors. And our goal is that by the time that you finish up at Stockton, you're a fully independent writer. I'll do a brief recap because I know that this has been a little long. First, about being active, BYOB, not beer, bring your own brain, okay? So be prepared to ask questions and think for yourself. Again, be prepared with your questions and any materials that you might have. For example, if you're working with a writing tutor, you might bring some feedback from earlier assignments with your professor. That can help the writing tutor know what the professor is looking for and where your strengths and weaknesses fall even before you begin to work together. And again, and these three are all really closely related, be active. Don't sit there and expect the tutor to do everything while you kind of gaze around the room. No. Be reading the paper to the tutor. Have a pen or a pencil in your hand. Ask questions. Make marks on your paper. Interact with your work, whether it's math or writing. Now, I'll give you a quick little virtual tour of the Writing Center, or I'm sorry, of the whole Tutoring Center. Again, if you'd like, you can come down for an entire tour. You don't just have to see these pictures. You can just come down and we'll show you around. We're happy to do that. So first, part one of the Math Center. You can see we've got a whiteboard up front in the room. We've got some tables around. And so you can see, although there are no students or tutors in this picture, you can see how you might sit at a table with the tutor. You can see how a bunch of you might sit together at a table and have the tutor go up to the whiteboard and present something for you. So you can see how that works there. There are also, and you can't see off to the right here, a couple of computers there in the Math Center. This is part two of the Math Center. It looks a little brighter. I guess my camera was a little bit better focused on this one. You can see again that we've got a setup of a bunch of tables, some whiteboards so you can run through problems, theory, anything like that. And again, off to the left of this photo, we've got some more computers there. For use for both the Math and Writing Centers, we have the Quiet Tutoring Room. This is a little room in the middle of the Tutoring Center. It's got a door on it. And so if you prefer to work in silence, then you can plant yourself in the Quiet Tutoring Room with a tutor or on your own, and you can shut the door and get a little bit of quiet so you can focus a little bit better. We have a number of students who like to use this room. We also have a computer lab. This is actually for use for both the Math and Writing Centers, although it's more frequently used for the Writing Center. As I mentioned, we've got 16 computers in there. You can see we've got a screen for a projector up front. So sometimes we have group activities where we might show a presentation that'll help you. We have some linked sections that come in the fall for particular writing courses. But this is where a lot of our writing tutoring happens, right here on the computers or at the table in the middle with a printed version of your paper. We've also got this other back room to the Writing Center. We've got 4 tables back there and 3 computers. So again, if you would prefer to work back here, or you can see the sofa there if you'd like to sit on the sofa, that's fine. Come on back. If you have any questions, we've got some information here. You can reach out to Pam Cross, who's the coordinator of the Writing Center. You can reach out to Luis Pena, who is the coordinator of the Math Center. You can reach out to me, Eddie Horan, the head writing tutor. Again, you can search our webpage. You can search Tutoring Center or Math or Writing Center from Stockton's main page. Or like I said, you can come on down. You can meet us, you can talk to us, you can get to know us. And you can get that tour. Thanks a lot. Happy studying, and we're looking forward to working with you.